Hi, I'm Prashant Jha. I'm an associate editor with the Hindustan Times, and we are on the Hindustan Times Facebook page, of course. I am now heading back from UP to Delhi. I have been on the road for the last 1 month. Ever since, in fact, in the run-up to the first phase, I got onto the road in West UP, and after 5,000 kilometers covering each and every phase of the elections, from the first phase in West UP, then up to Bareilly, which was in the second phase, and Rampur and Muradabad. The third phase, we went to Awadh and the Yadav heartland. The fourth phase was in Bundelkhand, we travelled to Bundelkhand and came up to Allahabad. The fifth phase was in the Tarai, Bahraich, Shravasti, Gonda. The sixth phase was, of course, in Purvanchal, which was the Gorakhpur region. And now we have one more phase left. This is the last day of campaigning of the UP elections. Banaras goes to polls tomorrow. 40 seats are left. But as I think we are now, as we are in the final lap of the UP Chunav, this is probably a good time to look back at the campaign, to look back at what has dominated politics in India for the past month. This is, of course, an incredible state. 200 million people, 140 million voters, regional variations, enormous caste complexity. This has been a battle of issues. This has been a battle between top leaders. Prime Minister Modi, of course, as we know, has been in Banaras for 3 days campaigning in his constituency. This is a battle of survival for Mayawati, who has lost 2 elections in the past, 2012 and 2014, and Akhilesh Yadav has come out of a bruising family battle to emerge as a leader in his own right, tied up with the Congress party, and is making a bid for power. So this has been one of the most rewarding reporting assignments for me, of course. But here I am on the HT page, looking forward to your questions. The one question I cannot answer, and let me say that straight up, is who will win this election. This is something that, despite having been on the road, it's something that I'm not certain about, and I think it's best if journalists don't get into the predictions game. I think what we can offer to you, readers and viewers, is a sense of the campaign, is a sense of the issues, is a sense of what the leaders are saying, is a sense of society, and what kind of aspirations do we have in society, what kind of fears exist in society, and how that gets reflected in politics. As much as we want to know who will win, I think we will have to wait for March 11th for that. So let's go ahead, shoot questions for me on the UP elections. I can see somebody say, do you think, Thakur Akhilesh has just asked me, do you think the whole cabinet being in Varanasi will help BJP in any way? Now, I think there are 2 ways to look at this, right? The first is that it reflects the extraordinary importance that the BJP is placing on the Banaras election and on Purvanchal. The fact is that in Banaras itself, BJP was suddenly looking vulnerable in the past few weeks. That is because BJP has changed the tickets of some of its most popular leaders in Banaras, and there was a sense, and there were rebel candidates who had stood in certain constituencies, and there was a sense that that Banaras would not be as easy. Now, Banaras Lok Sabha, which is of course represented by Prime Minister Modi, has 5 assembly constituencies, and if BJP lost in these constituencies, in assembly constituencies, it would be seen as a direct affront to the Prime Minister, and perhaps a reflection of his diminished image. And that is why I think we have seen this mobilization of cabinet ministers in Banaras. How is it helping? It is helping because, it has resulted in individual cabinet ministers reaching out to specific constituencies within Banaras. So you have the finance minister who went there, talked to the traders. We had Smriti Irani who went and spoke to small groups of women. We had ministers like Ravi Shankar Prasad and JP Nadda go and have kachori and jalebi at a popular breakfast stall. So this results in a certain degree of personal connect with the voters, and I think in that sense it may have helped. I think one other reason was that for them being there was that BJP feels that it needs a really good last phase of elections to get to the majority. It feels that it is single largest at the moment, but to get past the 202 mark, 3 mark, it needs a push, and these ministers are supposed to provide that push. There is a flip side to this, however. BJP comes across as also looking desperate. Do you need to mobilize half the Bharat Sarkar ministers to for an assembly election? If BJP was so confident, why did it need so many ministers there, right? So I think there is a flip side to it, but there is a certain logic to why ministers are there in such large numbers. Amit Anand is asking me, is there any similarity of the Bihar election and the UP election? That's an interesting question. I did cover the Bihar election as well. There are certain, of course, similarities between in terms of the caste and social composition of Bihar and UP. You have the same kind of Hindu caste structure, the upper castes, the intermediate caste, the OBCs dominated by Yadavs, and then the extreme backward castes, and then we have the Dalits and a substantial Muslim population. But I think that there are also significant differences in the campaign, and in the election. In Bihar, you had a bipolar contest. It was BJP on one side, and you had the Mahagathbandhan on the other side. The Mahagathbandhan included both Lalu and Nitish. Both were incredibly powerful figures in their own right, and it was a direct contest between the two. In UP, you have a genuinely triangular contest. You have each poll in UP, each poll, 3 polls with robust organizations and with a loyal social base. So this makes the UP election, I think, far more complex than the Bihar election. The fact that it is triangular and not bipolar. The second difference is, of course, there are huge the regional variations in UP are even greater than the regional variations in Bihar because of the size of the state. I mean, this is a big state. This is the biggest, of course, 200 million people. The issues in West UP are different from the issues in Bundelkhand, are different from the issues in Purvanchal. The leadership, the caste composition in West UP is different, with the Jats in West UP is different from the how caste politics operates in East UP. So I think that's of course, again, the regional variations make the Bihar UP elections different. The third, I think, is that in Bihar, the Muslims had one clear choice. If they wanted to defeat the BJP, and often the political preference of Muslims is to keep the BJP out, they had the Nitish Kumar Lalu Prasad Gathbandhan, Mahagathbandhan. Here they have more than one choice. They have the SP Congress Gathbandhan, but they also have BSP. So that could possibly lead to a fragmentation in Muslim votes, which did not happen in Bihar. So some more differences like that, but I think these are different elections and we should not compare it. How is BJP being labelled as the single largest party just on note ban? That's a question that Shubhi Chaturvedi is asking me, and not talking about anything but development. Shubhi, I don't know whether BJP is the single largest party. I mean, nobody is labeling it. If there are some journalists and analysts who are labeling it, that is their opinion. I mean, till we have the results, we do not know. And I think that's the safest position to take and the most accurate position to take. Is it in the running to be the largest party? Of course, it is fighting the election, and it is fighting the election to win. But do we know that it is the single largest? No. So that's the first part of your question. But if I pick the second part of your question right, what are the issues it is raising, right? So I think we have seen in BJP there are 3 broad themes that they have been focusing on. One is Modi, right, the Prime Minister himself, and Prime Minister Modi remains incredibly popular. You have to see it to believe it. The extraordinary faith that people have in the Prime Minister and in what his promises are and what he would be able to achieve. So I think just the Modi image is BJP's USP, and that has been able to override in some ways the absence of local leadership. Remember, you have Akhilesh Yadav on one side, you have Mayawati, you have no local leadership in BJP, no CM face, but the face and the influence and the popularity of Prime Minister Modi is able to compensate for that. So that's the first thing they're riding on. The second is, of course, the Vikas rhetoric and the fact that they claim that the previous SP government has only delivered corruption and Gundaraj, and BSP also delivered corruption, and it is the BJP which will provide good governance, clean governance, infrastructure, Vikas. And the third, and this has been very obvious to me at least since the beginning, is this desire or attempt to stoke communal polarization. We saw this in West UP, where I was covering Chetan Chauhan's campaign, and he was very clear, very almost rabid in terms of his rhetoric. I covered Sangeet Som's campaign, and he had posters saying Hindu ka pehchan Sangeet Som. So clear attempt to identify himself with the religious community. As we moved eastward, we saw, of course, the Prime Minister himself talk about the principle of non-discrimination, but under that principle of non-discrimination, it was quite clear to people that there was an attempt to consolidate the Hindu vote when he was talking about Qabristan, Shamshan Ghat, and Diwali and Ramzan. So I think those are the three elements of the BJP. They have not talked about demonetization in any big way. That has not been a big electoral issue for them, because I think they realize that there may be it's not something that has alienated segments of their vote base. So I think it's something that they have been careful in pronouncing and talking about. The question, what's your ground view on the BSP, Sheikh Farhat? Sheikh, that's a very good question. We have tried to cover the BSP a little bit, but I think we have not been able to do justice to the BSP. The BSP remains in the battle. This is, as I said earlier, a genuinely triangular contest, and whenever a party, BSP is one party which begins an election with a plus 15, plus 20% vote share in every seat, and that is because no social base is as loyal to its party as the Dalits, particularly the Chamars Jatavs are to the BSP. So whenever it is in the fray in any seat, and it is fighting all seats, of course, it is starting with this huge base, 15 to 20% base, and that puts it in the contest straight on. Now the challenge, however, for Mayawati is to translate or to upscale this from the 20% threshold that she usually has to 30 to 32%, 34% threshold, which is what is required to win the election. Now, what has she done? How does she do this? One, it is through giving tickets to people of different castes, right? And so, along with the Dalit vote, which is the BSP vote, the candidate is expected to bring in his own caste vote in the election. So that's one way to upscale the vote share. And the second, and this time what she has done, is reach out in quite a systematic manner to the Muslims, and this is what she thinks would be her incremental vote and would see her through till that 32-33% margin. Now she's given 100 tickets to Muslims. She has been promising to Muslims that she would not ally with the BJP. Remember, she has allied with the BJP in the past, and that's why there is an apprehension that she may do it again. Now, whether her prospects hinge on the fact, or hinge on whether the Muslims actually move to BSP. If they do in a substantial measure, then I think BSP has a very good chance. What we have picked up, however, is that the first preference of Muslims in most places has been the SP Congress Gadbandhan. However, where the SP Congress Gadbandhan is weak, because of local arithmetic, because the candidate is weak, cannot defeat BJP, then the Muslims have also shifted to BSP, and we have seen this in Awadh. I saw this in the constituency in Kanpur Dehat. I saw this in Unnao. I saw this in Bundelkhand and Purvanchal also. So if enough Muslims in each seat are fragmenting to BSP will look good and on March 11th. But if that does not happen, if it is not getting the incremental vote, if it is getting stuck at 25%, BSP would have a very respectable vote share, but would not be able to translate that into a victory. Which is the best political party in UP? Kumar, I can't answer that question. Each political party has its strengths, has its weakness, and it is for the voters to decide. And we will know on March 11th which one would be is the best party according to the majority of UP's electorate. Ayyar Prem Kumar is asking me, is it right for a PM to campaign in a state election so much? Who is managing Delhi work? Now, I again have, I think that's a valid question, and there have been many pieces that have now been written about how no PM in the last 30 years at least has campaigned so aggressively in a state election. So in that sense, this is a remarkable departure. We did see the PM invest a lot of energy in Bihar also. One view is that the Prime Minister should remain above the electoral fray, should make his token appearances, but should not get so immersed. The other view, and I am partial to this view, is that, look, this is not just another Prime Minister. Narendra Modi is a mass politician. And he, BJP is now almost completely identified with Modi. Now look at some of the Prime Ministers we have recently had. Manmohan Singh was not a mass politician. He did not win you elections because of the speeches he gave at rallies. H.D. Devegowda was not a mass politician. I.K. Gujral was not a mass politician. P.V. Narasimha Rao in large parts of North and West and East India, except Odisha and South, and then of course the South, he was not a mass politician in these parts of the country. So we have also had a spate of prime ministers who have not been mass politicians and who have not been as invested in state elections. It is, it is a call that the prime minister has taken, and it is a trade-off. By investing so much, you are risking a lot. If you lose the election, it will reflect directly in some ways. It may, the critics will say that it reflects on your diminished popularity. There is probably a trade-off with the focus on governance that is necessary. But it's something that it's something that only I think the prime minister has to take that call himself, which is what he has done. And as I can understand why he has done it, because as a mass politician, you end up campaigning more. It does, however, reflect one structural weakness of the BJP: the fact that it has one big leader, and it needs this one big leader in all elections. BJP should not be needing Prime Minister Modi to stay in his constituency for 3 days to win Banaras. I mean, it should be able to do that. The party machinery should be able to do that, right? So I think it does reflect a certain weakness, but it also reflects the fact that the PM is such a mass leader. Tanmay is asking me, has Modi succeeded in convincing UP people to vote for BJP? We'll know on March 11th. Satya Prakash is saying people should have a vibrant awareness of the social structure and the different issues of this mega Indian state. I completely agree. And Satya Prakash, I think what the elections do is it gives us a chance to understand precisely this social structure, precisely these issues, which is why election, I think, is not just about who wins, who loses. It is an opportunity for us in the media. It is an opportunity for readers. It's an opportunity for society to understand what the issues are. What Nishant is asking me a good question. I think, what will be the scenario of government formation in case of hung assembly? Now, I think the first thing I'd like to say, Nishant, is that the hung assembly is a real possibility in UP this time. What was it that led to clear verdicts in UP in 2012, in 2007? I think it was three things. One was an overarching narrative, right? The second was a clear personality, and the third was a party which could build coalitions of castes and communities across the board. So in 2007, Mayawati was able to raise the issue of Gunda Raj of SP. She was a dominant personality. She was able to build a coalition of Brahmins and lower backwards and Dalits. And in 2012, SP was able to talk about Mayawati's corruption. It was able to get the votes of Yadavs as well as Muslims, as well as upper castes who wanted BSP out this time, and Akhilesh was become a new face. This time, however, we don't have one overarching issue. We don't have one leader, and we can't yet see a party building a coalition across castes. It may happen if a party wins a decisive majority. It reflects that it was able to do that, but there is a possibility that each party will be limited to its broad segment of support. So BJP would have upper castes, a section of backwards. SP would have Muslims and Yadavs. Mayawati would have Dalits. So in such a scenario where there is fragmentation in society, and when there is that genuinely triangular contest, a hung assembly is possible. That is an option we must keep in mind. Now, what would be the scenario of government formation? It completely depends on the numbers. Then, who is single largest? Is for instance, if SP Congress together are, say, at 180, 185, and they are the single largest formation, I think they will be able to get to 200. They will be able to get the numbers. Maybe RLD will support it, maybe some independents will. If BJP is at 180, 185, 190, it needs 15 people. I think again it will be able to manage the numbers, get smaller parties, maybe break another party. If BSP is at that number, could another third party support BSP into getting there? So I think it's something that we cannot really speculate on till we have the numbers. But what it does mean is that we will be heading to more uncertainty. We have seen two solid, stable periods in UP, 2007 to 12 under BSP, 12 to 17 under SP. If it is a hung assembly, we will be heading towards more uncertain times. Aftab is asking me, what's your take on Mayawati? There is a rumor over social media that bureaucrats are molding themselves for Mayawati as the next CM of UP. Aftab, I just answered that actually. I do think Mayawati is in the race. I do think that she is starting with a solid, loyal social base. I think that whether she is able to convert her 20 to 25% vote share into 30 plus, 32 plus, and convert it into seats in a majority depends on A, the votes that she is getting from other Hindu communities, but also critically how much fragmentation of the Muslims takes place in this election. So I think that's what I would say. Thakur Akhilesh is asking me, SP plus INC alliance has gone popular. What are the chances they can make it to the single largest party? So again, you know, as I said, I will not be able to predict results. But one of the things is that SP, look, when the campaign started in January, it did appear that this would be Akhilesh's election, right? Akhilesh was looking extraordinarily popular. He had just come out of this family fight, and if he may have been CM for 5 years, but he became a leader, I think, in December, January. But I think they were not able in some ways to maintain the momentum that was generated in January. Maybe because of the delay that happened in the formation of the alliance, maybe because of the delay that happened in ticket distribution, and the delay that happened in campaigning. So it was not able to build up on the momentum on the scale that they would have probably liked. SPA and INC also have another problem. SP particularly, there is enormous anti-incumbency against sitting SP MLAs, even if there isn't anti-incumbency against Akhilesh personally. And so many sitting MLAs who have got tickets would struggle probably to get re-elected. So I think SP is actually reconciled, from what I hear from sources in SP, they are reconciled to losing 50 to 60 seats compared to 2012. So from 225, they may actually go down to 175 or even to 150. But what they then say is that even with 150, and if Congress gets 35 to 40 of the 100 it is contesting, 105 it is contesting, they would still be the single largest formation. So I think SP is now reconciled. Its SP sections in SP feel that they will probably not get a majority. They will lose seats compared to 2012, but they are hopeful that they will still be single largest. Shubhi is asking, is the media being too favorable? I don't know. I think what you mean is it being too favorable to one side? Look, I don't know. I think we've been fair. I think at Hindustan Times particularly, I think we've all made a really conscious effort to give play to each party, each leader. We have covered everybody's campaign, everybody's speeches. We have looked at the different social groups who are supporting a particular party, why they are supporting a particular party. So I will not be able to speak for the whole media, but I do think, and I can assure you from the Hindustan Times, that we have been as independent, as critical of everybody else, as fair in our coverage as I think was possible. In some cases, some parties give more access to the media, so it's easier to cover them. Some parties give less access, so that trade-off sometimes happens. We all have room to improve, but the irony is that no party in UP likes the media. Akhilesh Yadav thinks that the media is too favorable to BJP and has helped create a Modi Hawa. BJP thinks that the media is completely batting for the alliance, and BSP feels, and BSP has been feeling this for a long time, that the media is upper caste dominated and the media is not sympathetic to the BSP. So I think if we are getting it from all sides, then we may be doing something right. I've got another question, which is PM Modi has been talking of Ganga, but the Ganga project is a complete failure. Will it affect UP elections? Well, this is something that has come up in the elections. In Banaras, for instance, there are many people who have asked this question, and I think BJP has something that sorry, I think I lost you there for a bit, but it's a question that they have been asked. I don't think it will be a decisive issue in the UP elections, but it is something that BJP will have to keep thinking about. They promised cleaning Ganga. Work on this has been very slow. This is, of course, a very ambitious project. I interviewed Uma Bharti actually in Jhansi when she was campaigning, and she is, of course, the Minister for Water Resources and Ganga Rejuvenation. And when I asked her, would you like to come as CM to UP, she said, all I can think of is the Ganga. My soul, my blood, my flesh, my veins, my arteries, my brain, it's all the Ganga. So if a senior cabinet minister, senior leader like Uma Bharti is investing herself so much in the Ganga, that's a good sign. But the UP voters want results, and I think before 2019 there will have to be more progress on the Ganga. Charvi Khanna is asking me, would the alliance stick? We have seen earlier that it doesn't. I think if they win, if the alliance wins, then I think it will stick. Then, you know, Congress has an incentive to come into government. Power is a glue, right? So we've seen that in Bihar also. The fact it's all sides need each other. They won't have the numbers without each other. There is a power sharing arrangement that exists there, and so if that's something that similar would be replicated here. If they lose the elections, then I don't think the alliance will stick. Then there will be a blame game. SP will think and blame the Congress for not being able to win the 105 seats it contested on. Congress will blame the SP for various things, and I think the all bets will be off. But there could again be possibility of a renegotiation as in the run up to 2019. Vishwas has asked me, why haven't you put your head on the block in terms of predictions? As I said, I do think that journalists, people who want to predict, they should go ahead and predict. I'm somebody who believes that it's reasonable to just report elections as a journalist, give all sides of the story, and wait for the results. What are the chances of the BJP and BSP forming an alliance? Now, good question, Thakur Akhilesh. Good question. We have seen that this has happened in the past. This is an apprehension that sections of the Muslim community have had, and that's what has deterring them from voting for BSP. Mayawati has categorically said that no alliance with BJP, even if it means I have to sit in the opposition. But politicians are politicians. They, depending on circumstances, they change their views, they change their positions. It will be very risky for Mayawati to ally with BJP, because if that happens, then Muslims, the trust levels of Muslims vis-a-vis Mayawati would erode even further, and it would be difficult for her to get those votes in future elections. Having said that, being in the opposition is not a rosy prospect for BSP either. They have lost 2 elections. Being in the opposition means that your organization gets weaker. It also means that the voters become vulnerable. Look, Dalit voters today are a solid bloc, but we did see in 2014 that BJP was making a hard push to get those Dalit voters. So I think Mayawati will have to judge vis-a-vis her future electoral prospects. What does it mean in terms of getting Muslim votes? What does it mean in terms of getting, retaining their Dalit base? So it will not be an easy decision. I mean, nothing can be ruled out, but it won't be an easy decision. Tanmay is saying vote percent is lower than 2014. Will this affect BJP? Again, good question, Tanmay. It is not. I think we still don't have a good handle on what voter turnout means, right? And whether this conventional wisdom is high voter turnout means anti-incumbency and people wanting change. We did see respectable turnout in the first few phases. The last 2 phases we have seen, relatively, I mean, it's been in the late 50s. Compared to 2012, it's okay. I mean, it's, I think, a percentage point more, but it's not very high. So who is not turning out? Again, the conventional wisdom is that the Dalits are turning out. They do vote in large numbers. Muslims are turning out. One of the BJP's core constituencies, upper castes. Are upper castes turning out in large numbers? If they are not, then I think BJP has reason to worry. But I must clarify that we don't have an accurate measure of what high or low voter turnout does in terms of prospects of the parties. B, whether who is turning out and who is not turning out. So we don't have data on which booths are seeing high turnout and which booths are seeing low turnout. So I think it would be it would be a bit risky to speculate on that. Rajesh has asked me what is the chance of SP Congress alliance. If you mean in terms of victory, as I said, in terms of arithmetic, Congress had 11% vote last time in 2012. SP had 29% plus vote. So together, in terms of arithmetic, they are very, very strong. There is these parties came together because they believed that this could lead to Muslim consolidation, and if there is Muslim consolidation across the board, then again their prospects brighten. They have Akhilesh Yadav, and in Akhilesh Yadav, a very popular face. At the same time, I've heard people tell me that, look, we would have voted for SP, but we don't want to vote for the Congress because the Congress is not really a vibrant party at the moment, and Rahul Gandhi is not a leader who inspires much confidence. I have, and I also spoke about certain vulnerabilities of the alliance, the delay in ticket distribution, the delay in alliance formation, the delay in campaigning, the lack of coordination that we have seen at points. There have been friendly contests between SP and Congress also in many points. So it's very difficult to say whether they have a chance or whether they would form the government. I think what can be said is that at best, we're looking at possibly just about making it, or a single largest formation. An outright sweep for the alliance is something that the alliance itself does not think will happen. Charvi has asked me, is BJP playing the polarization card right this time? Isn't it wrong to do so? Well, one is, of course, there are two questions there. I think one is it playing the polarization card? And my answer is yes, it is playing the polarization card. Is it wrong to do so? I would like all other, I think, observers of Indian politics would like elections to be fought on issues of governance, on issues of livelihood, on issues of marginalization. Communal polarization is something, of course, that divides society, that creates bitterness. So I think, yes, it is wrong in doing so. But I think there's an important question there. Why does it do so? And I think what is happening is that when BJP starts in the electoral battlefield, it has, if BSP, remember, as I said, has a plus 15 advantage, right? It's starting with a loyal base. BJP has a minus 20 disadvantage. It is starting an election in these big states of North India while knowing that Muslims are not going to vote for the BJP for various reasons, right? So, and Muslims constitute 19-20% of the population. So you are starting with the more limited electoral playing field. Now, how do you manage that? The way to manage that for BJP has been Hindu consolidation. So they need to minimize the caste factor, and they need to construct the other in terms of the Muslims being the problem to get the Hindus united across castes, and they need to be internally inclusive of Hindu castes. So that's why we've seen BJP go beyond being an upper caste party, include OBCs, and so that's why we have also seen this kind of attempt to consolidate the Hindu identity, to offset the disadvantage that it faces because it will not get those votes, right? क्या अखिलेश भैया के सरकार में छूट मिलेगी राशन में? I mean, that's something, Kostov, I don't know. I don't think it's there are promises that all parties make, but it's something that you will have to see if he's elected. Anshu, again, who is the best performer party in the UP election? Again, as I said, it's something that we just have to wait for March 11th. The dark horse, Rajesh, the dark horse, as I said, BSP cannot be ruled out. It is a genuinely triangular contest. So you do, and it's something that we have often underestimated. So I'd keep an eye out for that without saying that it is winning or not winning. Narendra Modi is not for Uttar Pradesh. Won't that affect the result? This is a weakness that the BJP campaign had, the lack of a local face. Now, when we asked BJP leaders, look, why don't you have a local CM face? They told us that, look, in certain elections we have had local faces, CM faces. In certain we have not had local faces, and we have the results have been mixed. But I think there were two other reasons, right? One was that they did not have a tall enough local leader in UP to compete with Akhilesh and Mayawati. These are towering figures. If they had put up somebody, that person may have paled in front of these two established leaders. That's why they put their best foot forward, which was Prime Minister Modi himself. The second reason that they offered to us reporters was that UP is complex in terms of caste. If they had put up an upper caste candidate as the CM face, their effort to mobilize the non-Yadav backward castes would have not worked out. If they had put up a backward face, then upper castes, which has been traditionally their core vote, may have got upset, and so they thought it's safe not to put up a CM face at all and alienate any caste. Monica has said, violation of the code of conduct in rally, any PM should not be allowed to campaign for their party. Look, that's something that the election commission has to decide. I think that the Prime Minister is also the leader of a party. The Prime Minister is the leader of BJP, and I think it's you have to separate the office of the Prime Minister with the fact that he also remains a political leader, and he has become Prime Minister because he's a political leader. So I don't think it's possible to bar the Prime Minister from campaigning for his own party. I'll take a few more questions and then probably wrap up this live. Pragya has just asked me, why is BJP not talking of development? To be fair, I will say, as I said earlier, BJP has been in its speeches talking about development. It has been saying that the UP has been misgoverned, that it has not been able to tap into the opportunities that exist in the Indian economy, that there has been corruption, etc. But BJP is not just talking of development. I think that is what probably you mean. BJP is also playing the identity card, playing the, trying to consolidate the Hindus, trying to build up this resentment against the minority community, which has, and we talked about why that happens. We are now looking. What about Akhilesh Yadav as leader? Akhilesh has emerged as a leader in this campaign. There is, irrespective of the result, I think he is somebody we have to watch out for. Even if he loses, he is one of the remarkable, I think, in the sense that he is, like Nitish Kumar, an OBC leader who has transcended his own identity background in terms of being able to appeal to other communities. So he speaks that makes him attractive to other communities as well. And I think he definitely has a strong political future, irrespective of the result. What would be the effect, win percentage? I don't know. The effect of this election nationwide. This will of course have national reverberations. UP is the state where the BJP won 71 seats with its allies 73 seats. We are in the middle of Mr. Modi's tenure, and we are going to, this is almost a referendum on him and his government. I think if BJP wins, it increases Prime Minister Modi's political capital. It increases the hold Amit Shah has over the party machinery, and it increases BJP's national footprint. I mean, it would then by far be the dominant national party of India. If BJP loses, I think it will raise serious questions about the certain kinds of policies that BJP has probably adopted. Recently, it would definitely. I think that Prime Minister Modi still remains really popular, and I don't think a defeat will reflect that his diminished popularity as much as it will lead to questions about Amit Shah, I think, within the party. So I think there will be a section within BJP which will start questioning his organizational style. If the opposition wins, then we are going to see, like Bihar, I think there will be a moment when there will be a sense that, look, BJP is suddenly on the back foot. Can opposition forces come together to checkmate BJP? And it will be a lesson that the index of opposition unity has to be high if you want to take on BJP. If opposition parties take on BJP separately, then they may not be able to defeat BJP. But if they unite, Bihar, two big parties united, SP and Congress have united, and then they win, it'll be a signal that opposition parties have to come together. So I think there will definitely be national implications. This is Vishwas Shivpur has asked a good question. Is it possible that SP Congress has done well in 209 seats of the first 3 phases? BJP has surged in 193 seats of the last 4 phases. Well, again, we'll have to wait for the results, but this is an interesting question, because when we were traveling, Vishwas, one did pick this, right? In the first few phases, after polling, BJP's confidence was low. In the first phase, remember, there were reports of the Jats deserting BJP in large numbers. In the second phase, there was the SP had done well. SP had and there was this polarization which may even have benefited the alliance because of the high Muslim concentration in this region. The third phase, the alliance did not do well. The third phase, I think SP had 55 out of 69 seats, and some of SP's own internal calculations suggest that SP has lost almost 30 seats out of those 55. What one did see was that till the first 3-4 phases, this was a seat-by-seat election. It was dependent on local arithmetic in most places. After the 4th phase, I started picking up a Modi Hawa of some sort. This was primarily driven by upper castes who were far more vocal in Purvanchal, also sections of backward communities, and one did see a certain surge for Modi. Whether that will translate into electoral wins, whether the success in the final few phases will be enough to offset probably the below expectation performance in the first 2 phases, are things to watch out for on March 11th. I'll take one more question and then we can wrap up this really enjoyable Facebook Live. Is it true that non-Yadav OBCs are, like Jats, Banyas, Nishads, are upset with BJP for various reasons? Look, I would actually say that yes, Jats are upset with BJP for various reasons, and I think there is definitely the 2014 mood where there was a Jat upsurge for BJP does not exist in West UP. But the real success of the BJP has actually been its expansion in the non-Yadav OBC communities. They have they now have over 30 district chiefs who are OBCs. They now have given the highest number of tickets to non-Yadav OBCs in any election, and their own state president today, Keshav Prasad Maurya, comes from a non-Yadav OBC background, and BJP is banking very heavily on the consolidation of these small, scattered, heterogeneous non-Yadav OBC groups from Kurmis to Lodhs to Sainis, Kushwahas, Mauryas, Sakyas to win this election. And if BJP wins this election, it will primarily be because of these groups, and so that's, I think, something that's something that we should look out for. This has been a fun session. I look forward to doing this again. The great questions, and as I said, what we all want to know, who's going to win, is something that I could not answer. But I think this has been a good moment for us to look back on this campaign. Today is, of course, the last day of the campaign. Prime Minister Modi remains in Banaras. Tomorrow, 40 seats go in for elections, and then we will have a 2-day reprieve before March 11th, which is when we will come back and talk to you about what the results mean. Thank you for joining us on Hindustan Times. It's been a real pleasure.